We are told Vincent van Gogh loved yellow because it was the color of warmth, the color of sunflowers, the color of hope. But in the spring of 1889, inside an asylum in southern France, guards had to physically tackle Vincent to the floor, not because he was holding a blade, but because he was squeezing raw, unmixed yellow paint straight from the tube onto his fingers and swallowing it. For decades, medical historians posed a disturbing question. What if Vincent's iconic yellow wasn't an artistic choice at all? What if his eyes were physically poisoned? For nearly a century, science claimed to have solved the madman's secret. But when you re-examine the forensic evidence, the entire story collapses into something far more mysterious. To uncover the truth, you have to trace the sudden, violent explosion in his canvas. For years in Holland, Vincent painted in shadows, muddy browns, sickly greys. But in February 1888, he arrived in Arles, France, and his vision erupted. He painted yellow sunflowers, yellow wheat fields, yellow chairs, yellow skies. He wrote to his brother Theo, the sun, a light that I can only call bright sulfur yellow, pale lemon gold. How beautiful yellow is. In 1981, medical researchers published a paper that sent shockwaves through the art world. They argued that Vincent was suffering from Xanthopsia, a neurological condition that causes the human eye to lose its ability to perceive blue and violet, flooding the retina with a permanent, sickly yellow filter. And the list of toxic suspects was staggering. First was absinthe. Gauguin wrote in his private journal about Vincent's terrifying daily routine. Vincent was consuming lethal quantities of absinthe, a liquor packed with thujon, a potent neurotoxin known to damage the retina and distort color perception. Second was his paint itself. Conservators chemically analyzing his paint tubes found his favorite shade was chrome yellow, packed with toxic lead chromate. Vincent held brushes between his teeth and wiped paint across his mouth. Toxicologists noted that chronic lead poisoning damages the optic nerve, causing visual distortions and severe mental confusion. And then came the smoking gun, the detail hidden in plain sight for over 100 years. Look closely at the table in front of Dr. Gachet. Sitting beside his hand is a small purple flower. That is Digitalis purpurea, foxglove, a drug prescribed in the 19th century for mania and epilepsy. The textbook side effect of Digitalis toxicity: seeing glowing, pulsating coronas, massive yellow halos around every single point of light, the exact halos surrounding the stars in the starry night and the lamps in the night cafe. For decades, the case was considered closed. Science had reduced the madman's genius to a simple side effect of medical poisoning. Except when timeline investigators actually checked the dates, the entire medical theory collapsed. The night cafe and the starry night were painted in 1888 and 1889. But Vincent didn't even meet Dr. Gachet or receive a single drop of Digitalis until May of 1890. The drug that allegedly caused those glowing yellow halos wasn't even in his body when he painted them. And then came the second flaw. If Vincent's eyes were truly crippled by yellow-tinted Xanthopsia, he would have been completely blind to blues and purples. Yet during the exact same weeks, he painted those blinding yellow sunflowers. He created irises, a masterpiece of precise, hyper-saturated blues. He wasn't blind to color. He was in absolute masterclass control of it. When Vincent swallowed his paint in the asylum, it wasn't a physical craving for lead or a biological compulsion. It was an act of desperate, tragic psychosis. He was trying to poison himself to escape the terror in his own head. So why did he paint the world in blinding yellow? Because yellow wasn't a disease forced upon his eyes. It was a choice forced upon his soul. Vincent lived in a world drowning in psychological darkness, poverty, and isolation. He didn't paint yellow because he was blind to the dark. He painted yellow because inside, a mind being swallowed by darkness, it was the only light he had left. We wanted to believe he was poisoned because it's easier to explain his genius as an accident of biology than to confront the terrifying reality that a man could stand in the middle of hell, look up at the night sky, and force himself to see the light. Did Vincent choose yellow out of hope or madness? I'd love to read your perspective in the comments below. And if this changed how you see his canvas, subscribe to join our next investigation.